Mlbb is full of different ships, but which one is my favorite? Hello everyone, today we'll be rating Mlbb ships. But before we begin, what is a ship? A ship is supporting, desiring, or imagining a romantic pairing between two people. However, it's also very important to note that a ship is not always romantic. A ship can also be platonic depending on the dynamics and lore of a specific character, and also shared experiences, such as if character A has similar lore to character B. But obviously, a ship does not always need to make sense for it to be a ship. So two characters can be literally irrelevant to each other and people would still ship it. I think it's also worth mentioning that I'm not going to include every single ship possible. I'm going to go off of a wiki I found that includes very popular ships within the Mlbb community. Without further ado, I really do hope you guys enjoy. And let the show begin. The first ship that this wiki recommends is between Alucard and Ruby, which, first of all, Ruby is 15 to 16 years old. And the reason I'm mentioning her age is because on the wiki, it says heterosexual ships. And if a ship wasn't implied to be romantic or, in worst case, sexual, you wouldn't include the sexuality of said ship. Because if we're talking about this platonically, what does sexuality have to do with being friends? So by saying that this ship is heterosexual, it's implying that it's romantic to an extent. At least it's just my opinion, but I will be talking about it platonically as well. Also, because I missed the key point, Alucard is considered to be in his mid to late 20s. That's why I'm saying all this. And also in the wiki, there is a very specific section for characters that are considered to be friends. So if they really wanted to, they could have just added Alucard and Ruby to the friends section. In case anyone doesn't know what the word heterosexual means, it basically just means straight. Heterosexual is basically a person who's attracted romantically and sexually to the opposite gender. So immediately a very big red flag. Skip. A little bit of a tangent, but is this a good time to talk about the sexualization of a minor in MLA? Like in Ruby's Mlbb model, she's not missing a stocking. So I'm kind of confused as to why she's missing a stocking. Like, call me crazy, but what is the point of having Ruby only have one stocking? Hello? Like, maybe I'm missing something here, but the next ship is between Alucard and Mia. And they're kind of implied through their Valentine skin, but it's mostly due to them being older characters. And the issue I have with this ship is that Mia's immortal and like Alucard is in his 20s, so like I don't understand the correlation. Next we have the ship between Arlott and Lunox. Well, this ship is interesting considering that Arlott went on a killing spree because Myla got executed, and Lunox is a very powerful mage. So I don't know how that would work. It's not really my cup of tea, but yeah, no, it just doesn't work for me. Next we have the ship of Sicilian and Carmilla, and honestly there's not much to say because they love each other. But if we were to refer to a ship with the ban section and I would constantly ban Carmilla and Sicilian if it was possible. Because Carmilla always running away at 1 HP or Sicilian always getting a shield at low HP is crazy. Honestly, to this day, I still don't know why they have that passive, but okay. Because let's say they didn't have that passive, it's not like it would make them somehow weak, but enough of this tangent, let's move on. Next we have the ship between Cece and Eamon, and I don't know why the community ships this because Cece is a teenager and Eamon is 26 years old. So like the amount of like footage that I see of people trying to justify Cece and Eamon is baffling. Like, skip. Next we have Chang'e and Popol, and I know this may be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think the ship is okay. Because although it does say that Chang'e is immortal, mentally she's still a child. And I might think, what's the problem then? Because Popo is also a child. But that's the thing, although Chang'e is childlike in terms of mentality, her being immortal also adds to the issue. Because what does a person as old as Chang'e have in common with a teenager or a young boy? That's my issue. I can understand they're both like mentally childlike, so you might think that it's okay, but there's still the issue of Chang'e being way too old. Although she acts like a child, it still doesn't excuse that she's immortal. I may be reading way too much into this, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Actually, throughout the course of this entire video, if I seem to make a mistake or say something that's not okay, please call me out for it, because I do not want to make errors when it comes to something as important to discuss as this. Okay, another problematic ship in my opinion between Claude and Fanny. I'ma just leave these on the screen. Like, I don't know what to say. The fact that they have a Valentine skin, okay. So out of like the 4 or 5 pairings we've had in this video so far, only like one of them was valid, which is a little bit concerning. Next we have Claude and Irithel, and to be honest, I don't like this ship anyway, even if illegally it's okay, because Claude is a bandit. What do you have in common with someone who got their literacy skills from Nana? Like, I just don't see it. I mean, you can ship it if you want, but I just don't see it, in my opinion. Finally, we have a good ship. I really love Dareth and Ruby, considering that Ruby and Dareth have very tragic backstories. Dareth being kidnapped when he was just an infant, and Ruby having to protect her village from wolves. Well, protect is kind of an overstatement because everyone died before she could do anything. So overall, I really love this ship. Next we have the ship of Faramis and Vixana, and it's kind of hard to kind of ship them because Vixana does have a lover. Or well, she did. I'm sorry. She did. But other than that, Faramis in Vixana's lore was more of a kind of helper rather than someone who loved her, I guess. Faramis tried to save Vixana from her dark fate but got intertwined with it. I see their relationship more as a kind of companionship or like besties. Next we have a ship between Franco and Freya, and I really hate how Mlbb doesn't specify anything. There's so many bits and pieces that we have to piece together to make barely any sense. But Franco is estimated to be around his 50s, and Freya became a Valkyrie when she was 20, so is she still 20? I don't know. But let's say that Franco is 50 and Freya's 20. I don't know what you have in common with as a 20-year-old with a 50-year-old. I mean, legally, I don't know if there'd be any issues, but I don't know. Again, same thing I said with Cece and Eamon. This ship is not okay, and I don't know why anyone would try to justify it. The age differences are just way too large. Another ship that's not okay because of the immense age difference. Guinevere is 16 and Granger in his 20s, so no. Next we have a ship between Christian and Guinevere, but hold up, Gugu. If my ship name was Gugu, honey, I'd be throwing hands, but sure, pop off. Anyway, like I said, Guinevere is 16 and Gushin is said to be 18 years old. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with a 16-year-old dating a 18-year-old, but we have to talk about the what ifs. Gushin and Guinevere just turned the age, fine. But if Guinevere just turned 16 and Gushin's about to turn 19, then no. Then I think the age gap would be a little bit too much. But let's say they both turned their respective ages very close to each other, then I would say it's okay. But their ages aside, I just don't really get their ship, honestly. Because they are canon, I guess, but it's kind of like there's so much plot holes, because why do Leslie and Christian have a Valentine skin then? What is the point? For the longest time, I've always thought it was Leslie and Gushin who loved each other, but I guess not. Next, we have the ship between Granger and Sylvana. And honestly, I don't feel like Sylvana should be shipped with anyone because of her lore. She's very dedicated to finding her brother, so I don't know if she'd give her 100% in a relationship. But I don't think it's a horrible ship. Next, we have the ship between Guinevere and Ling, and immediately out the window. Out the window, because this is not even funny anymore. Ling is 21 and Guinevere is 16. I said enough. Next, we have the ship between Guinevere and Aaron Paxley. And honestly, I couldn't really find much other than the fact that Aaron is considered the weakest among the Paxley family. Or siblings, I think. I don't really hate this ship, but I can't really give it much more praise because we don't know much about Aaron, or at least I can't find anything about him, so I don't know. Next we have the ship between Gushin and Angela. Now Angela doesn't have a confirmed age, so realistically this could go either way. Some people might agree and some might disagree, but I heavily disagree because you're not going to tell me that Angela isn't a child. Like, even some of her voice lines kind of not confirm it, but just kind of add on to the fact that she's very childlike in in her mentality. Doctor calls me his little angel, but I can't fly. It's my job to help people. The strings of my puppet got tangled up. Can you help me with that? I can do all the chores except cooking. Doctor calls me angel. Where is my daddy? Some of these voice lines, it's very obvious that she's dependent on her creator. You aren't gonna tell me, no, you aren't gonna look me in the face and tell me that this ship is justifiable. Even if her age is not confirmed or she doesn't have a physical age, she's still childlike. Like, you're not gonna tell me. You aren't. Leslie and Gushin should have been endgame. I will die on the hill. They should have been canon. I love it. Next we have the ship between Hanzo and Hanabi, and honestly I can kind of see their ship as kind of like a revenge arc for Hanabi because she felt jealous that she couldn't have Hayabusa all to herself. Or there's a love triangle between Hayabusa, Kagura, and Hanabi. But I think that these ships are also problematic, and I'll explain why later on. But I'm totally fine with Hanabi and Hanzo, although I guess the age, but Hanabi being 20 and Hanzo being almost a decade older than her. But you know, I think it's fine for the most part. Harith and Nana. Okay. Next we have Hayabusa and Kagura, and I think the ship is very problematic. Yes, I know that in lore, and they've been love interests in lore for a while now. Hayabusa's 20 years old and Kagura is 16. Like, what? Now, I don't know if it maybe in the past lore Kagura was older, but at least in this particular lore, shipping them makes no sense. Even though the ship is very nostalgic and it dates like way back when, it's still very problematic. But Hanabi and Hayabusa makes a lot of sense because not only do they have good dynamic with each other, but they can actually date without it being problematic, even if it contradicts the very sloppy lore that Munson has been providing to us. Sloppy and inconsistent, mind you. I think the only reason why people ship Johnson and Odette is because of their in-game synergy. Other than that, they make absolutely no sense. I'm sorry. And also, they have a very large age difference, Odette being 18 and Johnson being 30, so I don't really know. Next, we have Julian and Layla, which, okay, could work. But I guess they're a rare pair because I don't ever see them ever really liking each other. However, Julian and Melissa I can see because they've traveled alongside each other, so there could be a dynamic there. Julian and Cece, honestly, I can see it because their personalities differ so much. I feel like it would be interesting to see them have some kind of lore with each other. I can see it, but again, it's a rare pair. Next, we have Yisun Shin and Kadita, and I guess I understand why people would ship them because Kadita's a princess or a queen, and Yisun Shin is a general. But again, Kadita's immortal, so it's a pass for me. Next, we have the ship between Khalid and Benedetta, and honestly, I quite like this one. I rarely ever see people talk about this, but Benedetta and Khalid together looks so cute. Next, we have Kimmy and Exborg, and this is a very fine ship in my opinion because of how tech savvy both of them are. They would definitely hit it off if they weren't enemies. Next, we have Kufra and Esmeralda, and I don't like this ship. Esmeralda is a 20-year-old woman, and Kufra has been sealed away for centuries. And the word century already indicates that he's way too old, so it's a big skip for me. Next, we have Clint and Layla, which is a big no, considering that Layla's underage and Clint is quite old. And for my sake and your sake, let's just pretend that their Valentine skin doesn't exist. And let's hope that Valentine in this case is companionship and not anything romantic or sexual. Since, well, I don't know if it's a shocker, but Valentine's Day isn't only for romantic and sexual feeling. Leslie and Eamon, finally something I can actually talk about. Yes, 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 and yes. I really like this because Leslie and Eamon are very intellectual. I feel like they're the kind of pair who'd get into arguments 24/7. But at the same time, they'd also agree with each other. And also, both of them having camouflage, chef's kiss. Next, we have the ship of Leomord and Vexana. And honestly, this applies with Faramis too. I just kind of see them as friends. They're like a trio. But I guess I can see this also because Leomord does serve Vexana. So if you ever want a loyal guy, I guess it's Leomord. But he was also the one to slice her husband's heart. So yeah. This ship is cute though. Next, we have the ship between Ling and Kagura. And immediately, no. As I previously had stated, Kagura is 16 and Ling is like in his 20s, so I don't know how that would work. Not that it should. Next, we have the ship between Lo Yi and Yu Jong. But I kind of see them more as kind of like companions at the very best because Lo Yi is devoted to the reincarnation of the Black Dragon. So I don't know if Lo Yi would like Yu Jong because he's Yu Jong, or she likes him because he's the Black Dragon. But either way, I don't think it's horrible. Like, I think it's fine. Next, we have the ship between Lucas and Lunox, and I don't know how to explain this, but Lucas feels like the kind of person who's oblivious to everything. On the other hand, Lunox is always aware of everything. So they're like dynamics already like clash with each other. The differing in their personalities is cute, but I just kind of don't see it. But it's not bad though. Next, we have the ship between Mia and Zalong, and the only reason I don't like this is because Mia's like really old. I don't know if it's like good or bad that I'm basing it off of like age every single time, because like what do you have in common with someone who is thousands of years old? As long as in his 20s, so I don't really know. But personally, I don't like this at all. Next, we have the ship between Nolan and Lillian, and I love this so much. And I feel so bad for them and Layla because their backstories are just so tragic. Next, we have Oda and Lancelot, and I just love this couple. I love them. People with long hair will always win my approval. I love Odette and Lancelot. I love them so much. Next, we have the ship between Obsidia and Phoveus, and I don't really know. There's not much to say about this. I think people ship them because of their connection to the Abyss, but other than that, I don't really know if they have any chemistry together. But I think they still look cute though. Next, we have the ship between Farsa and Viri, and all I can say is that I just feel bad for what happened to her husband. May he fly high. Next, we have the ship between Sylvana and Tigreal, and all I can say is that both of them being leaders is such a green flag. Like, who's in charge of their relationship, I wonder? Next, we have the ship between Sora and Florian, and I don't know if this is like true, but I'm pretty sure they're actually implied to like each other. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they actually like each other. But both of their personalities is such a green flag. Next, we have the ship between Tirzla and Anne, and I'm pretty sure Anne is Julian's mother, unless I'm mistaken. And I just feel so bad for the way things ended out for Tirzla and Anne, because Julian basically doesn't have a parent anymore. The developers did them so dirty. I'm sorry. Next, we have the ship between Tigreal and Natalia, and let me just say, I really love this. I don't know how to explain it, but I like the fact that the Monastery of Light tried to make an infamous role a good role, and that is Natalia being an assassin. But I'm really fond of this ship, if you couldn't tell. Next, we have Wanwan and Link, and I can see why people try to ship them because of the fact that they're from the same squad. They're from the Oriental Fighters, and also the fact that they have a M skin together, so I know that their skins have no romantic ties whatsoever, but I think people grasp at sticks and straws because of their similarly themed skins. This ship is a massive skip. Next, we have the ship between Wu Zetian and Yu Jong. Let's just start off with, I like how their personalities differ, but ultimately they're aiming towards the same goal. It's very obvious that both of them have good moral compass. However, the difference between them is that Wu Zetian uses her sharp intellect and natural compassion, while Yu Jong uses not so nice methods to achieve peace, I guess. So they're kind of two sides of the same coin where they're aiming towards the same goal, but they use slightly different methods. The thing that's stopping me from giving this ship a pass is the fact that Wu Zetian's age spans millennia, while Yu Jong is still relatively young, being in his 30s, so I don't really know. And if anything, I think that Wu Zetian would be some kind of mentor towards Yu Jong because of her intellect rather than a partner. Next, we have this ship between Yin and Wanwan, and I just think the kind of childhood friend to lovers trope is a bit tricky because most of the time we associate this trope with, oh, there's an end goal to it, and that end goal is them falling in love eventually. But is it so wrong for childhood friends to stay friends? Like, I'm fine with this ship, but it's just maybe my taste in relationships. I just like how they view each other as very close, platonically, and as siblings. I don't mind this ship, but I hate how people view friendship as potential lovers and undermine their friendship. Next, we have the ship between Zalong and Freya, and I would say, okay, this is like really cool. They're both warriors, so really, what's not there to like about them? But I feel like they'd be constantly fighting each other 24/7. Next, we have the ship between Suyu and Sushin, and I think people ship them because of their lore relevance. Other than them being from the same storyline, there's nothing that really clicks for me. Sushin is interested in trying to find pure wishes. She's so keen on fulfilling wishes that she began to set various trials to set the worth of people's wishes. Some tried to get on Zushin's good side, and others ridiculed her. And Suyu is an exorcist trying to guide people to enlightenment, with the power of the immortal Neo that he inherited. And also, they have a large age difference. Next, we'll get into the slash and femme slash ships. Slash ships are relationships between two male characters, and femme slash are relationships between two female characters. First, we have the ship between Alucard and Granger, and I think you guys can already tell how much I like the ship because of my thumbnail. So this ship definitely earns my approval. Next, we have the ship between Alucard and Zilong, and honestly, this is not really my cup of tea. I think aesthetically speaking, they're two very different characters. But one of my headcanons with the ship is that Alucard would like to mess with Zilong's long hair. Next, we have the ship between Belleric and Grog, and you know what? Hell yeah. Hell yes. I just know that Flora would be so excited for their relationship more than Belleric himself. Next, we have the ship between Sicilian and Gushin, and you're just shipping anything at this point. Like, Carmilla, keep your man, which is over a millennium years old. Again, Sicilian and Claude, you're just shipping anything. Sicilian and Lancelot. Okay, so next we have Cho and Lance, and oh my god, I'm giggling. I love this. I just know Cho would call Lancelot princess all the time. Wait, I like this so much. Next we have the ship between Cho and Paquito, and I know we've all thought about this before. I think it's mostly due to the fact that their professions are very similar, Paquito being a boxer and Cho being a martial artist. I'm also very fond of this ship. Love it. Next we have the ship between Claude and Exborg, and okay, two evils, why not? I mean, not that Claude is like inherently evil, but he just does bad things. Exborg is a menace though. Next we have the ship between Claude and Gushin, and I think this simply wouldn't work because Gushin is rich and Claude steals things. But at the same time, one of my headcanons is telling me that Gushin could also give Claude a better life. Okay, I know you're gonna jump me for this one because earlier I said that I see them more as a kind of like trio, but Vixana does have a husband, so at least she's gonna be lonely. Next we have Ferdinand and Frey, and there's so much to say other than yes, 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 because their backstory is tragic. The pinnacle of doomed yaoi. I had no idea that Xavier was 28 years old. I thought that he looked like a teenager. How are you gonna tell me that he's almost the same age as Fredrin? I honestly thought Fredrin was an old man. But you know what? Hell yeah, I love the ship. I think that a large reason why we ship Granger and Claude is because they will have guns. How many guns do they have, I wonder? I'm joking, I think they'd be cute. Next we have Cho and Hayabusa, and you know what? Okay, I can dig this. Not really much to say, to be honest, but I dig it. I think the ship is kind of funny because Hayabusa would probably find Granger's guns to be unorthodox, but I think Hayabusa would like to listen to Granger's music. So I kind of like this. I'm gonna say no to Harth and Harley because Harley is quite young. Do you guys think Hayabusa would like a rich man? My headcanon says he would. Okay, Julian and Ian, I can see it. Companions to special companions. I'm gonna be so for real, I don't even know who Gaius is. I can't seem to find Gaius' age anywhere, but since it says he's a human, I'm going to like kind of base his age off of the human lifespan. And I'm gonna just say no because Lucas is definitely not a millennia years old. Minton has an obsession with making every single character like a gazillion years old. 3,000 worlds and not a single worthy foe. Honey, you just haven't seen Leomard's seduction skills. Lucas and Suyu, big skip because Suyu's in his like 20s, so again, with most of these ships, I don't know how that would work. It's hard to give like an honest rating because most of these ships like don't even make any sense. Like y'all be shipping anything. But I'm going to end up the list here because there's a lot more ships that I have to go through. So if you guys want a part 2 or a continuation of this, then feel free to let me know that in the comments below. How would you guys rate these ships? Do you have a favorite ship? As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Mwah. Ta-ta!